Now let's dive into these beautiful words, section 38. You'll notice verse 1 through 5, or 1 through 4, like we said, it's this incredible introduction of identity, where verse 1, I, the Lord your God, even Jesus Christ, the great I am, Alpha and Omega, the beginning of the end, which looketh upon the wide expanse of eternity and the seraphic hosts of heaven before the world was made. I know all things. Verse 2, I've created everything. Verse 4, I am the same which have taken the city of, or Zion of Enoch into mine own bosom. That's
going to mean more to Joseph at that point.
That has context now.
Yeah.
And he finishes all of this, and then notice the very first word of verse 5. After introducing his grand identity, the very first word of verse 5 is but. It's this, in spite of all of that, behold, the residue of the wicked have I kept in chains of darkness until the judgment of the great day. Even though I've got all of this amazing stuff to give, there are still people who refuse to let me be their God, and I've reserved some judgment for them. Verse 6, and even so will I cause the wicked to be kept, that will not hear my voice, but harden their hearts. And, mark it, woe, woe, woe.
3.
It's their doom. Brothers and sisters, that is a very significant verse. Here we are. It's right after New Year's Day. It's a day later in 1831. And we're getting ready to gather to Kirtland, rather, and God is pronouncing the triple woe on this group of people who prefer to live in darkness and in chains rather than walk in the light. The triple woe only appears twice in the Book of Mormon, in 2 Nephi chapter 28, verse 15, and in 3 Nephi 9,
right before
verse
he
2,
returns.
right before coming to the Nephites and Lamanites. And then you get it here, and then there's one other time where it appears. So there are 4 triple woes. The other one is in Revelation chapter 8, where he's going to pronounce these 3 woes in a row. It's this superlative curse of doom and destruction, so to speak. Don't you love the fact that verse 7, after he gets through with the triple woe, what is the very first word of verse 7? But. Again, in spite of this now, but, behold, verily I say unto you, that mine eyes are upon you. I'm in your midst, and you can't see. I can see you, but he says,
you can't see me.
You're not seeing me. I wonder if we could take section 38 and ponder it in our day today and look around and say, there are some pretty crazy things going on in our world today, in all countries of the world. And there's some pretty difficult situations. And then come back to verse 7, but. And then trust that God's eyes really are upon us, that he's in our midst. And then verse 8, but, notice the first word. By the way, this section is one of my favorites for doing this, where you take the first word of each verse, and it really sets the stage. He gives you a precursor for exactly what he's going to tell you, and it flows in this nice grammatical, logical chain of events here. So but the day soon cometh that you shall see me and know that I am. Even though you don't see me now, the but gives us hope that it won't always be that way. There will be a day when we can see him clearly.
And then he says in 9, okay, now that you know this information, what do you do about it? Gird up your loins. And that's scripture talk for get to work. Okay, you can look up on the internet what it meant to gird your loins. It's tucking in your tunic. But he also says at the end of verse 9, I just love this. Look, it's all worth it because the enemy shall not overcome.